A lot of the times if Bryan says something that's too funny or whatever, I'll edit it out.
Chop it, yep.
Chop
Yeah,
it
get
out
it out of
and
there.
just to make myself seem a little bit better or whatever.
He's probably chopping stuff that people don't like.
No, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Podcast Simulator. I'm your host, Kevin Bartelt. I have two of my favorite podcasters on. I don't know if they know that, but I'm a big fan of them. I have Bryan and Chris from the podcast Guys. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Oh, wow. That was... Why did your audio sound so bad?
Mine?
Yeah, there's like something wrong, like legitimately wrong with it. Like, I don't know, probably people who are listening to the podcast maybe don't.
It was actually fine. We've been chatting for like 10 minutes. It was fine right up until the moment we went live.
It had absolutely no issues.
Boy,
now
yeah,
it's
thumbs up
completely, it's unlistenable. I mean, you need to do something about it. This is not something that can.
Mine's fucked now still.
Oh, it's so fucked. It's like
I'll come out and come back.
Yeah,
I'll come out and come back.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
you gotta come out and come back.
Chris, there are a few people who have asked you if it's possible to turn yourself up a tiny bit.
Mr.
yeah,
Can't
that's-
turn himself up. I turned him up over here.
I mean, I can turn.
Oh,
I
there you
turn
go.
myself up. Yeah, I mean,
Whoa.
I have it on my. It's just for the recording that concerns me a little bit. I'll tell you what.
I appreciate it.
But
That
I'm
concern.
because so now on the recording, there's going to possibly be some clips. I'll just try not to get too excited.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, that shouldn't be hard. I don't know why
I've
I
got
said that
I've got
like
some
that.
plugins I can use called declip that might be perfect for
Chris, write that down.
Scenario.
Wait,
like
can you?
this.
Where do you? How much does that cost?
I got it part of a bundle that was pretty expensive, but you might be able to get individual plugins.
Wait, what else comes in the bundle?
Is it the most expensive bundle? Because I'm buying
No,
it.
no,
for
no,
him.
no.
Yeah, it is Lego level bundle.
Well,
There's one called denoise that cuts out if you have like an air conditioning on in the
what?
background.
No, Kevin. I think we're willing to pay some decent dollars for this type of thing. I would imagine if this. Let me send me a note in private
will.
about this bundle if you could.
I'll pay
I
up to $2,000 a month for that.
Well, it's not gonna be a monthly thing. I don't.
No,
I
it
hope.
was
My
a
son-
one-time purchase.
Yeah.
I got it years ago. I still use it every day. Maybe it could be a Violence Gang LLC write-off, which would be nice.
We're
for-
only writing one thing
Yeah.
off right now, and that's a $4,000 computer.
Who,
Well,
wait,
I am getting.
who's it for though? Is it for Chris or for you?
For me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not for me. Look,
Well,
I'm
because
not
you don't
buying
do
a
the edit.
computer.
You don't do the editing stuff. So, I mean, listen. Yeah, I need a new computer genuinely to do the stuff that I'm doing. So, yeah, hey, nice. I'm getting a. Hey, do you guys want to hear it here first?
Yes.
Get a
Some people might not want to
Macintosh.
hear this. I'm getting a Macintosh Pro,
Ooh.
and I'm back in the Mac, folks. I'm on a PC right now talking to y'all.
I'm
and
sick
I'll-
of that too. I'm sick of PC.
Yeah, so I'm going back. I mean, I've been a Mac user my entire life.
Chris,
up
I have a
until
Mac
this PC.
Pro right here. I love it. I use it a lot. It's a great. Are you going to edit on it? Is that maybe part of the
Yes.
plan? Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna do everything on it. That's part of the plan. I'm going to because right now I have a PC. Just to shout out everyone, I have a PC and an old iMac.
Nice.
So I'd still do some editing on the old iMac, video editing, because I can't edit on PC. And so it's really it's not meant for that. It's like a baseline iMac that I'm doing this stuff on, and it's like 10 years old. So
yes.
it takes, I want to say 10 times longer than it should to do every single thing that I want to do on there. So yeah, it'd just be nice to free up some time.
He's the Mac daddy. So,
This is the place. This is the place to have these discussions. What software are you editing audio with? What software are you editing video with, Chris?
I'm not gonna, well, I edit with Audacity
Great.
and GarageBand,
Mhm.
and then I edit with Final Cut, but
Yep.
also I edit a lot of stuff with iMovie if it's just simple stuff that
Mhm.
just for ease of use, I'll still use iMovie for stuff. But yeah, I'm a Mac. But yeah, I like GarageBand and Audacity. I think they're both
Mhm.
really, really good, actually. Like GarageBand is surprisingly really good. I think you can use it for and like have stuff sound really good. Do you agree with that, Chef Kevin?
The thing that I like about GarageBand is it has like an autosave feature that most recording softwares don't have. Only a few of them have. So if your shit crashes in the middle of like a 3-hour recording, it could save hopefully like 2 hours and 50 minutes of it. Where with QuickTime, even though it's a little easier to like record an audio track, if something skips or breaks, that's it. You lost it. So
I find it very intuitive as well. Both Audacity and GarageBand are very intuitive and like very easy to use. Like you don't need to be a genius to figure out how to do stuff on it. And especially nowadays, you can just look stuff up. Brian, what are you up to over there?
I have an Apple Macintosh phone.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking Mac Daddy while you were there. I was trying to figure out a way to call myself a Mac Daddy, but it didn't work out. So
you use a PC.
Here.
You use a PC. What kind of a computer do you use? And like, how did you come to this?
I'll tell you what to do. Text DB and say, what kind of computer did you have Brian buy?
Okay. That makes sense. And I appreciate that you did that. DB, our friend Mike Hale from
the best
YKS, who's the funniest guy. He is also very much a very smart guy as well and knows a lot about computers. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you didn't go into a store and let one of those sales people who's potentially on a commission.
You got to hear what I'm up to now, because so I want to get a trainer and a nutritionist.
Great.
I feel like I'm at that income level.
Okay, well, don't you,
a trainer.
I mean, I guess, why are you looking at it like that though? Like, why does everything it's good for you?
Well, if I was broke, I couldn't do it. Well, and here's the problem. And I was just telling my wife this. I was like, they don't tell you how much it costs on the website. So then you got to get on the phone with a guy.
And then he's persuasive.
And I'm just going to buy the first one because I'll feel bad if I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be talking on the phone to a guy, like one-on-one on the phone. And he's going to be like, it's $5,000 a month. And I'm like, I can't really afford that. Yeah. He's like, but what about your health? And I'll be like, that's true. I'll pay it. You know what I mean?
Think about how many years you did nothing for your health at all. And you're still around. Like, you ate 6 king-size caramellos. Hasn't been talked about a lot, but because you sort of silently stopped doing that when it was brought up.
That.
I know you talked about on a recent episode too, getting a mattress on a like kind of a layaway plan. Are you still paying that mattress off? What's the latest with
you financed your mattress, which I couldn't really wrap my head around either because
I forgot about that actually. I should pay that.
So like, are you on a monthly payment plan on it, or
actually that's a Katie bill? So
I see.
I don't know anything about it. I just say pay it.
Brian, something that kind of tricked me with a trainer last year is I did a similar thing, got sort of like a bundle trainer session at a gym.
You love bundles, by the way.
I'm Mr.
He's
Bundle.
A big bundle guy, yeah.
The bundler. So I got like 20 sessions with a guy, finished the 20, it went really well, lost some weight. And he said, hey, if you want to keep doing it kind of off the record, between us, I can give you a discount if you pay me directly. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. So I give him I pay him on PayPal. We do, or Venmo rather, another bundle thing. We do like 3 sessions, maybe 4 sessions. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm out of town next week. This was like 4 or 5 months ago. I haven't heard or talked to him since. So I need to get back on that because he has made a lot of money on 3 sessions off.
So, yeah. But he didn't ghost you. You stopped.
We kind of ghosted each other.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously happy to not do it. He's got the money already.
He got the money up front. We did 3 of our like 15 sessions. I think it was like, I'm out this week and then he was out the next week. And then we just haven't, he's obviously waiting. He's not going to say anything. He hasn't for months.
I wouldn't.
No, yeah, I wouldn't either. So I need to, but here's what he's accurately relying on is me getting the motivation back to be like, you know what? It's time to start going back to the gym. And that hasn't happened yet. So I'm a little in a tricky situation.
Somebody mentioned in the chat, and it's true. You look in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I look like crap.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look to be in good shape right now. It might be that fantastic fit on that wonderful
I think it is.
T-shirt.
I think it's this nice flubhead shirt that I'm rocking.
That flubhead shirt that you're rocking hey, listen, just by the way, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, how come I haven't got my stuff in Canada? The Canada stuff has gone through now, finally.
Canada Post motherfuckers. They didn't even I bought Chris a Christmas present, a Home Alone t-shirt that said I killed my whole family or something like that.
No, it didn't.
Oh, it said I made my whole family disappear.
Yeah.
Still not gotten to him yet.
Still
and I
hasn't
think that's
gotten.
partially the Chives' fault.
Yeah, but there's big issues with that. But also the hats, the flub head hats are finally going to go out.
Ooh.
But we had this it really bothered me. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it wasn't the person we're working with. He went to a different person to do the embroidery, this big company.
Yeah.
And they really let us down. And I asked the guy who we're doing it with, I said, would it hurt your business if I publicly, said something? And he said, yes, it would. And so that's why I'm not saying the name of that company now, but we won't be using them again.
Sure.
But yeah, it was still a fun, and I mean, people bought them, and yeah, it was.
I think people are that mad. Like, merch never gets to anybody on time.
I hate being Me too. Hate that. You know what I mean? I hate it. I hate being in the position where I don't have the ability to get the merch to the people that it's like my stuff or whatever.
It's a tricky business. I would be in trouble if I didn't say I am currently 20 feet away from an embroidery studio right now. My wife makes the hat pack hats that you guys have seen for Hollywood Handbook. So if you guys need a new embroidery hookup, I'll give you the bundle info and my wife's email if you need more custom embroidery stuff.
Well, listen, the guy who I was talking to, this is what he said.
Yeah.
He said to me, well, I was going to use this little old lady who lives in town here, who normally does. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. But then I decided to use this company, and it was a big mistake. Next time, I'll use this sweet little old lady who does it. But you know what? I say we use Chef Kevin's wife. Fuck that old bag.
Sorry.
Fuck her.
She's out.
Lady. She's out. You're out.
Yep.
God.
Let's do a prank on her.
We should prank her.
Before
we do that, I need to ask you guys a few podcast 101 questions. We have a fun day of activities planned. Basically, I've been chatting with, I've done like 8 or 9 of these so far. Each person that I've asked about what I would be concerned is like a boring, like, what's your kind of intro to podcasting question. Everyone has had a different answer and different experiences. I know Bryan's been doing it for years and years. Chris, I'm curious too about, your intro to podcasting and how you guys got into it.
You want to hear me? Because my story's insane.
Yeah,
much
Bryan,
like all the other ones.
Here, do you want? Yeah, you say yours, and then afterwards, when everyone's like, "Holy shit, that's fucking nuts," then
you say yours then if you're worried about it. Because Chris, my mom's involved in my story.
Oh shit! No, I just want to hear yours. Tell yours. I don't mind. I just want to hear it.
Back in like 2003 or something like that, I was young. I was like 24, and I was like, I wanted to do radio because I was listening to Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and all that stuff. I thought like, I think I could do fucking radio. And I think my mom heard me say that, and she went to a wedding, and she was like, I went to this wedding, and my mom, I'll say this, and I know this is wrong, but she's in a certain program for people that is anonymous that you can't talk about, not the computer hackers. It's a different one. But she knows.
Because because there's more than one of those.
Podcasters Anonymous.
Is it somebody who sometimes makes some wagers? Is it somebody who will tip back the old
so anyway, and she's been in it for like 30 years. And
good for her. Good for her. Yeah.
She has met people you wouldn't believe. Like, I'm not going to say it because she shouldn't have told me, first of all. But she's met people you wouldn't believe because people go to those meetings. Like, there are people that need to go to those meetings, right? So I believe that she was at this wedding with this guy who runs the local hard rock radio station. She knew his fucking name. Wow. Which I don't know how she would know his name. Like, she knows the general manager at the Wazoo 107.1, the big Wazoo.
Maybe they say it on the air or something, but yeah.
She wouldn't be listening to that, though. She doesn't listen to heavy metal. That was like the channel that played Pantera and Opie and Anthony.
So you think this was legit? She really did know this guy?
Maybe. And I don't know why.
Because she does sometimes.
She has met people that you would literally not, but I can tell you off.
But she sometimes will tell it.
Here,
she'll
I'm
tell
going
a
to text
tale.
you, Chris. Sometimes she'll tell a tale for sure. I'm going to text you a guy's name. So she said she met this guy, Rick Knight, at
I don't know him.
At a wedding. She was sitting at the table with him. And she was sitting at the table with
Eric
this guy.
Clapton?
No!
Oh, I'm not supposed to say it.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, everybody knows he's kind of sober or whatever. So anyway, she's sitting at this, she said she's sitting at this table. She's like, my son wants to do radio. And for some reason I believed that like she talked to this guy and gave him my phone number and this guy was going to call me. So for like a year and a half. She would call me and be like, he just got a hold of me. He said he was going to call you. Wow. He wouldn't call.
Yeah.
And then she would keep kind of pushing it for like a year. And then finally I was like, there's no fucking way this guy's going to call me. So I sent him an email off of the website. Like, hey, I don't think I said whatever I said. And I was like, well, fuck, that's dead. But I had wanted to do radio after that so fucking bad. And I was very mad at my mom because she very obviously lied about the whole thing. I don't know how she knew the guy's name, but she has lied about other things. Like
maybe more serious.
Serious things like having cancer.
Oh, no.
Twice in her life. She's lied about that. So, wow. So
Brian's pretty open about that. Sometimes I'll be really surprised when I'm on. That's an interesting thing about our show is I'll be surprised sometimes. We'll talk about stuff in private. Sure. You know what I mean? Because him and I will have conversations. We're friends or whatever. And then I'll be really surprised when he'll bring something like that up publicly on the show. I'm like, that seems like I wouldn't bring that up. But
if people think I'm crazy, it kind of feels like, well, I have this mom that does this stuff and this dad that is weird. So it kind of tracks. It's not my fault. I'm a normal guy.
Yeah,
I hear what I mean?
I heard though that Brian, I know where the story goes, by the way, I heard that guy, that radio executive, I heard that they asked him, they said, are you going to call this kid Brian? And then he said, I'll try.
Yeah. So that's what ended up happening next is I'm like, there's this guest DJ thing. I'm just going to do it. Cool. I sent him a thing. You send them 10 songs. They let you do a guest DJ spot with the DJ. They gave me the least desirable spot. It was Sunday at noon. So I went.
People driving home from church though, throw on the radio here.
To the alternative. Yeah, listening to the alternative rock station. Listening to this guy with no personality.
He thought he was cool. He thought he was cool because we learned about it. That's the thing that I was doing there. Very inside joke for people who listen to our podcast, which I love to do. Jokes that not a lot of people like, but he was like, yeah, that was his first line ever on the radio.
I try.
Yeah, they said because he was a cable guy at the time, and so the lady is like, we have the local cable guy Brian, but he's a cool cable guy. He shows up on time or early or whatever, and then Brian's like first ever line in public was like, I try. Like he thought he was gonna be the coolest.
Microphone cutting in and out like this one too.
Why did I tell her that? I still want to know why I told her that. Like, what was the conversation like?
Because he thought you were cool. Thought you were just gonna be like a cool kind of like laid back kind of dude, like just kind of fucking go in there and kick it with her. Like, man, maybe hey, what are you doing after the fucking show? Maybe we go grab drinks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, not even in like a dating way, just like fucking talk shit about talk shit. Like that's how you imagined yourself. But it is kind of.
I sent her an email after and said, "I'll do anything to be in radio. I'll sweep the floors," because I had heard you say stuff like that.
Yeah,
she never responded to me either.
Yeah, because that's not a real thing.
I know.
Well, it's not a real thing that happens. It happened like for a while, a long time ago, but then it's like, then they just became over. Then it's just so many people who are like trying to sweep the floors. You know what I mean? The floors are clean. They're so clean.
People would say
clean
that,
as hell.
Yeah, people would say that all the time. They're like, well, they brought me in and I like swept the floor and took out the trash. And then one time there was an air shift where one of the DJs didn't show up and they brought me in and I was so electric.
Oh man, fucking Terry the dweeb had diarrhea that one day.
There was a gas leak.
Yeah, there was a gas leak. And I somehow was not affected by it. And
So I started a podcast as soon as I could like figure out how to fucking do it, but it was like a 4 to 5 hour long episodes.
Bryan, I had a similar experience with when I moved to LA with an internship of being told I got some unpaid internship in Santa Monica. The person told me I got it. I was already planning on moving out to LA. And then as it got closer to moving out and then moving to LA, the person stopped responding to me entirely. And this was kind of like my one like thing that I had. And I had like some odd jobs and stuff, but I was like, oh, great. I got this guy. He's going to hook me up. Stopped responding entirely. I think I followed up like 3 or 4 times. Eventually he was like, okay, come tomorrow. And the first thing he had me do, I'd like to think it wasn't intentional because he just like was an idiot, but he was like, you need to go through the emails from like our business and make sure, like basically weirdly label them in a spreadsheet. So like every employee and their email is connected and my name was on there. And so I type in my name and the first thing that popped up was him forwarding to the company, like, can someone fucking respond to this guy? He keeps emailing me over and over again. Someone tell this idiot, like he can come tomorrow or something. And so I guess I would rather just being shunned entirely, but it was a wild typing my name in and seeing like active shit talk. Was,
I do wonder.
That's brutal.
I do wonder, like, because these guys did have to somehow get there. I'm like, how did Rick Knight get his job then? Like, how did the DJs on the stage, which by the way, station didn't even have DJs on it. It had Opie and Anthony, but then the whole rest of the day was just rock music. But Michael Nolan would have loved it. He would have been all for it. I mean, sometimes they play like a
Zeppelin
Biscuit or something, and that would kind of probably pissed him off a little bit because there's too much hip hop in there. But yeah. So I started a podcast as like the straight man, and that show kind of floundered. We just stopped doing it, and then I did Street Fight for like 15 years.
What was the other podcast?
I don't want to say that. Because I don't know if it's still on the internet. So.
Why don't you want to say it? Is it that embarrassing?
I hate for people to hear something that I said back in like 2005.
But what was the premise of it? Who did you do it
was
with?
Just there was this other guy I knew that was like the party animal guy, which at the time I thought was like, well, that's what a funny guy is. You know what I mean?
Like kind of like a party guy busting your balls a little bit.
Not even just that, just like lampshade on the head kind of guy. You know what I mean?
A drunk guy.
A drunk guy, yeah. But everybody loved having him at the party.
Shout out in the chat. Shout out in the chat. Anybody in the chat, were you the drunk guy at the party? I would love to know if we have anybody like that. I was not. Kevin, were you?
I tried to be, but it was like, in hindsight, like Mike's Hard Lemonade. It was a lot of like performative, like, I'm gonna have to walk home tonight, and it's like he's fine.
Yeah. So this dude gets drunk. This guy drinks this guy will drink 40 beers in a night. Like he is not fucking around, and he'll do
40 beers in a night. 40 beers in a night is an awful lot. I know
he'll drink like 20. He'll get 24 and then have to go get more.
I can feel that. I can feel that Kevin's trying to move the show on, maybe, but
not at all.
Who is this guy?
He's my friend.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you just a guy you knew?
He's a power lifter now. He's doing it right. You know what I mean? But before,
wait, what do you mean he's doing it right?
I mean, he's a power lifter.
Yeah, like he's getting his aggression out properly. You're saying
he would be so drunk, but like still kind of standing, and would just like do movie quotes, and everybody be like, "Oh, that's so fucking funny." You know what I mean?
How did you? Was he from Groveport?
Yeah.
So he was one of your Groveport friends who like knew you from the Queeber days.
He didn't. He did know me from the Queeber days, but he knew me from Dark Queeber days.
For the chat, Queeber was Bryan's nickname as a youth.
It's not Porno Sean either. He's younger than me.
Porno Sean was one of his other friends who was trying to start a porno store.
Yeah, Party Tempo wasn't Porno Sean. It was another guy.
Was the show just like him talking about his weekend and then you being like, that's crazy?
Yes. That's what the plan was. It was like, get this guy in here, get him as drunk as he gets when he fucking goes to a party, and everybody's like,
drunk on the show.
Party.
So you fed him booze on the show? That sounds terrible. This sounds like such an awful idea, and And
enabling.
So, would you let me hear it if I promise you that I didn't?
I don't think it exists anymore, but I'll see if I can find it. No, not really, but I don't think it exists anymore for sure. But I just worry about that kind of stuff because I don't know what I was saying, and he was drunk all the time, and I wasn't feeding him booze as much as I was just like, just do what you do. You know what I mean?
Be yourself.
Do what you're good at. Is what I was telling him. And I thought, like, you know, because I don't know. I didn't meet any comedians until I was like, way late. I didn't know there were any comedians in Ohio. I still don't necessarily know if there are. But like that was as close as I knew to a funny guy. So I was like, let's do this. I'll be Opie. I saw myself as Opie for many, 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 many years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's not cool. It's just low self-esteem. No, you don't want to be Opie. You never want to be Opie. I'll press the buttons, you know. And Chris has worked with me on tech stuff. Like, I don't even know why I thought I was going to be pressing the buttons or anything like that.
Well, so, he can definitely press the buttons. It's just a matter of like, is it going to be the right button? It's not usually going to be the right button, but he'll press them, a bunch of them, you know? Oh, like tons of them, yeah.
But so me and Chris, I started working together because John had him on the POD cast. And he hated the music, which made me incredibly happy. I love it when the guest hates the music on that show. And we just had so much fun. Like, so
then
we started
we ended up doing Shocktober when Bryan was still doing Street Fight, and we did Shocktober, and then Bryan started doing Guys. And what happened was, honestly, is like, I seen this cash cow, Bryan. I said, I got to sink my damn teeth in it. That's why I was hounding him. I was hounding him all the time. I was like, I can add value. I can add perceived value and genuine value. I was talking to him about business stuff, about we got quarterly things. We can get to all of these levels.
Yep.
And so it's going pretty well now. And one of the fun parts is I do the editing as well, which I haven't mentioned this before, but a lot of the times if Bryan says something that's too funny or whatever, I'll edit it out.
Chop it out,
and just to make myself seem a little bit better or whatever on the show.
It's funny because Chris finds things funny that like other people probably wouldn't either. So if he's chopping stuff, he's probably chopping stuff that people don't like.
No, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Chris, also you cut out your laughs so you don't think like Bryan stuff is funny, but then you put more Bryan laughs into your jokes, so it seems like he's loving your shit.
Have a Bryan laugh track that I lay down. He laughed. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he like the audio I'm getting is not him laughing at me either. It's from other stuff where he's like giving big laughs, and I'll pepper it in there. That's what I call. I'll pepper it in there a little bit. And then, I have a filter. I bought a filter bundle where I can it's called the laugh suppressor. And it allows me to take out my laughs so people are like, because it makes it seem, the one thing I noticed, a lot of people would send me messages on the Instagram. God, Bryan was so funny on this episode. I thought, maybe I'm tricking them into thinking that.
Yeah. That's the power of the editor.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm still getting the messages though about him being funny. But
did you start editing at episode 1, or was that? Did you like officially join at like 15 or something?
No, I didn't officially join. Well, it was kind of funny. It was pretty funny that he put my name as a guest on every episode.
I felt like I didn't. Listen, let me explain something because I loved my side of this.
Good SEO for Chris.
I didn't want to bother Chris.
Yeah.
And make him come on every week. So I was like, if he wants to come on, he'll come on. If he doesn't want to, he won't come on. I felt like I was bothering him. It wasn't like a thing where I was like, I'm like really weird about like, I don't want to waste anybody's time or anything like that. I don't want anybody to feel like, he's up my ass all the time.
Yeah, Bryan will have a real problem. He's just like, do you think that they want it? I'm like, I think they would want to do the show. Like the show, we have a lot of listeners on it, and I think it would be good. They would want to do it probably, but he doesn't really feel. So I understand that. And I was kind of like, I was a lot busier doing my my YouTube channel at that time. And so I wasn't really, I didn't even, Bryan asked me to do it. And I always say this, I didn't know I didn't really understand what he was like saying, like the show was, you know?
Sure.
But I was like, oh, he's the best. I'll do whatever he wants to do, you know? And so we were just kind of feeling it out in the beginning and seeing like, oh, will it be a good fit or whatever? And I came on most of the episodes in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I think, I don't know, like maybe like 6 months in or something. I officially.
No, it would have been, maybe it was. It would have been short. It was very short amount of time. I could even
like
look at my phone. Yeah. But like
well, when was it? When was it that I managed to get my stake in the corporation up to 60%? Because we should talk about that.
We did start doing the audio late because neither one of us knew how to do it, and I had no.
It's hard too.
That's not true. That's not true. I did know how to do it.
I didn't know how to do it. And you were like,
I said I didn't have the time.
Tutorials. I think I can do it.
Oh, that's different. You're talking about like fixing the audio.
Yes,
I'm talking. I'm on stream and stuff like that. I didn't know how to adjust your audio live. Like I didn't know how to adjust your audio. I don't have your, tech or whatever. But yeah, as far as just, I mean, we don't really edit the podcast that well, like properly. But we're going to. Once I'm done with my YouTube channel entirely, then we'll do it with like local recordings, and I'll edit it properly, and it'll sound like everyone's in the same. I think it sounds good now, but it'll sound like your shows that you do, maybe not as good, but like more along those lines.
Bundle-esque.
Yeah, bundle-esque.
We'll get him a bundle. We're getting Chris a bundle tomorrow.
Shout out. Shout out.
I'll send you some links. So
unless it's $6,000, then we
definitely
don't.
Not that. I think it's like a couple $100.
Whoa.
Okay, don't tell him that. Tell him it's 1,000. Just tell him.
Tell me it's a couple $100. I'll start a payment plan.
So
it's $600. I'll pay you $35 a month.
Chris, what was your beginning with podcasting?
You know what's funny?
Was it POD or
no?
No, you've been doing it forever.
I had a podcast. I had a podcast when I was, so my brother had a magazine. He was like a journalist and had a magazine that he did in Vancouver. And when I started stand up, so 15 years ago or something like that, probably. And I did a podcast on that show it was just on the website. It wasn't on iTunes or anything like that. Maybe afterwards it was, but it was like, literally on this magazine.
Wow.
And he was the straight man. My brother was like, he was like the kind of, and I did a lot of.
You were the party guy?
I was the party guy, and I did a lot of. It's similar to like the type stuff I like to do now, where it's like I'll do really. Themed concept, like I would do, like did like a CBC radio episode where I was like a CBC hoity-toity kind of radio host. That's a Canadian broadcaster. But yeah, so it was fun, and my brother's super funny, and he we know each other really well, obviously, so it was a lot of fun to do. My mom loved it. Like my mom was like, that is the best. And it's like, she likes my stuff, I know, but she's always saying like, oh, you know what was really funny? And it's just like, Mom, really I'm like trying to like grow from that and like evolve.
Both of your moms were big parts of your early days in the
mine was the evil one
world.
And his was the supportive one.
They were maybe in a different way, but yes,
the devil and the angel.
My mom was very, very supportive, very, very supportive. But yeah, I do a podcast on my Patreon for Not Even a Show. So
yes,
I've been doing that for a while. But yeah, that was I was super into I used to listen to. I don't know if you've heard of a little guy by the name of Ricky Gervais.
Me too. I was
Ricky Gervais. You probably haven't. It's your cross there. I see your little cross there. But yeah, I was like obsessed with the Ricky Gervais show and would download I would download the radio show, not his podcast. I would download on LimeWire and shit like that, illegally download these bundles of his show with Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington, the radio show that became the podcast. So I was a real podcast nerd for a long time. I was listening to Mark Maron's intros for a while.
Me too.
Wow.
I was not even going straight into the fucking So I always
we
knew
both
that.
Talk radio though for before podcasts. I think that is what.
Yeah. We're both into Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and stuff like that. We both listened to that stuff. Man, I didn't listen to a lot of Man
I didn't either,
Cow.
but it would be funny if one of us did.
Yeah, if one of us was a big fan.
We did watch
Cow.
some of his stuff from the 90s, and he's really making out with chicks on the radio. It was crazy. Like I've never seen somebody do radio like that in my entire life.
He was just kissing them, like open mouth kissing them while he was doing his show. It was so fucking badass. Man.
And you have them pulling their pants off and their bras off and like just kind of standing next to them, kissing them and stuff. I was like, this is crazier than, it's crazier than like Opie and Anthony.
Cool, man.
It makes Opie and Anthony.
When radio was radio, man.
That's true. Yeah, you couldn't get away with doing Man Cow now.
One of the clips you guys watched of him was he had like a kind of street goon who would do these elaborate pranks. Not even pranks of the
Same's turd.
Sorry.
Can you show a little respect?
Yeah.
Show a little respect to turd.
What did they pour on
please?
him? Like buckets of like scorpions or fire ants or something? But the reveal was it was significantly it was like set up, build up, and then when they did it, it was like 2 pretty small buckets. They could have done mostly like a couple cups. Yes, mostly dirt.
It was mostly dirt. That's the Man Cow special, is the huge build up and the one where he waterboards. Where he's getting waterboarded. That's a famous clip. It's like it's one of his famous clips.
But he's not being waterboarded correctly.
No, he's not even doing it correctly.
Yeah.
Like it's like built up and then they just pour a little water on him. You know what I mean? Like dump water on his face, kind of, and then he's just like, "Oh, that was fucking insane. I could never handle that." Like he like just goes crazy. But in the build up to it,
it's funny because he's such a grifter that he used that to get on Keith Olbermann's show to talk about how waterboarding is torture.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then a few years later, he was like, "I'll try the liberal thing first. And if that doesn't work, then I'll start the conservative thing." And then he went over to Fox News and started doing that.
What is he doing now?
Well, don't even.
He's doing great now.
He's doing horribly. He has a show that he does out of his house, and has his producer, who's a real estate agent from Florida named Ralph Nudie, who never returns your emails. By the way, he's absolutely horrible producer. And but he's doing Man Cow's doing terribly. I'm just imagining like
Nudie's doing better than Man Cow, to tell you.
He has a good job. He's a good real estate agent. He's a terrible producer. By all accounts, he's a great real estate agent.
What about Opie? Is he doing better or worse than Man Cow?
Way worse.
Worse, yeah.
Because Man Cow's rich. Man Cow has money. Man Cow managed to like save his money. I think like he seems to still have money or whatever. Whereas Opie has nice houses, like. But it seems to me, I don't know for sure, I'm not an expert, but it seems to me like he might be a bit cash poor. And he definitely is not career-wise. He is doing like 100 views on YouTube. He's interviewing this guy. He's like, this guy's like fucking my wife's like, carpenter met this guy, and he's like had some interesting shit to say about fucking moths or something.
Oh, that one made our listeners so mad.
It makes people pissed to even have to listen to it. And like, so we talk about it all the time, but he's just like desperately clawing at like this last kind of feeling of like, now he's doing his pranks, his street pranks.
Yeah.
Because he once got famous for stomping a homeless person's cake. And that was like a big, famous, horrible thing he did. So he's like just trying to find anything to get to those glory days when people knew him. When he walked down the street and they're like, "Hey, Opie," like that's all he wants.
It's funny. I looked at his page yesterday, his YouTube, because on the weekends, on Sunday nights, we do a stream, and we'll look at like some of our weird freaks that we have. And I looked at Opie Radio Unleashed yesterday, which is his new prank channel where he
has a channel. He has a new prank channel. Yeah.
I can't even find it now. Did he delete Opie Radio? Oh, no, he didn't. Okay, here it is. So I went there and he had an update that said, if I can get this up to 500 subscribers, I'll start putting my morning streams on here.
I mean, that's just such a pathetic thing. This guy was a famous radio host. The president just came on the show.
Here it is. Yo, Really happy with the growth of the new channel so far. Thanks for all the clips and keep on clicking. When I get to 500 subs, I'll start live streaming from here. Just wanted to say thanks.
It's like a child. It's like if a child was starting, like that's, you know what I mean? Like an 11-year-old kid is like, oh shit, like getting to 500, fam. Thanks so much. Respect to all of y'all. YouTube family out.
He's at 433 too.
I mean, I don't want to make fun of small subscribers. It's not like a funny, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, look,
it is for him.
For him, it is because for one, he's terrible.
He was famous.
Yeah.
He was legitimately millions of people listened to his show at a time. Like, if you can't make something out of that, I don't fucking know what to tell you.
Yeah. It's pretty humbling. You guys talk a lot about him and Bubba the Love Sponge. It's a thing I really like about the guys' podcast is, and if you're not familiar with it, they chat with a guest every week about a different type of guy, and they read reviews of the subject. But things like my knowledge now of Bubba the Love Sponge's crew and the Tom and Bunny and stuff is kind of shocking. And I what is it about? Is it the fall from grace? Like, what is it about these guys that is so funny and interesting to you? Because when I hear other people talk about similar things, I think it's kind of dry or boring and they miss the mark. But the things you point out with them are like so, I don't know, funny to me.
The funniest thing I saw yesterday is that Bubba did an 8-hour Yule log on his YouTube channel with just Christmas music on it.
Yeah.
I think it's because they made their living. They made their living making fun of people and talking shit about people and being mean to people. So watching them fall is just really fucking satisfying. Like when you can hear in Bubba's voice that now he knows that we make fun of him and he doesn't like it. When that was what he did when he did radio, he made fun of the other people on radio. Yeah. So it's funny. It's funny to see that they can't take it. And it's just so, it feels good to see Opie trying to hustle to 500 subscribers because he wasn't even as funny as he was just straight up mean on the show. He was very mean. That was
his whole brand of humor. That's how he got his laughs, was to just do the meanest shit. Like, oh, here, someone give me a Christmas present, then he would break it. You know, that was like his big thing. Like someone brings in a present that they worked on or something, and he would break it and throw it in the garbage. But yeah, for me personally too, it's like, it's these guys who like, it's not just the fall from grace for those ones specifically. It's their like belief that they will get back to the top. And they're like, they're not willing to give up on it. Like, these are old men now at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is an old guy doing a stream from his big Manhattan apartment or his like fucking place in the Hamptons. And it's like, man, just chill with your family, just hang out. But he's so desperate, and all of them are. That's the main thing is like, Bubba and Opie especially. Bubba's like, they're both out there grinding like teenage YouTubers. Like, they are out there putting it, like, thinking of like hashtagging, and like Opie puts on hashtags like Opie and Anthony. The one that we saw that blew our mind was hashtag Patrice O'Neal. Not mentioned at all. Not even mentioned in the video, but he's just trying to get eyes on it because he's like, get it in the algorithm, and then we get a viral post, and then it's like, buddy, it doesn't even work that way anymore. Like, you're not even, you don't stand a chance.
Can I tell you an Opie thing that was really funny is he comes up on my YouTube algorithm all the time because we're always watching him.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through and I get all kinds of shock jock stuff. And there was a video that was an old news report about Howard Stern called like Howard Stern, tears things up on the morning radio circuit in New York. And this is from 1993 or 1983. I can't remember exactly when it was. And I looked at who uploaded it, and it was fucking Opie. There was no Opie commentary on it. There was nothing that had to do with Opie on it. He just knows that he can hashtag something Howard Stern. Like,
oh, buddy, you don't get the long con. You don't even understand how fucking sick and twisted this guy's brain is. He's like thinking to himself, I got to put it up there. Then Howard we'll get a copyright strike and get it taken down because there's no commentary. And then I get to make a video reacting about how the king of fucking radio can't handle when somebody like, you know, like that was this guy's thinking. And then that goes viral, Bryan. And then you know what happens when you get a viral video? The money starts rolling in.
And like the other thing is like the sharing of old Opie and Anthony clips is really, to me, like, dude, just you're either still doing that or you're not doing that. He's like he's really annoying to me because he has one foot in I'm better than Anthony. I didn't do the things that Anthony did, and one foot in I'm fucking shocking, dude. I'll just say some shit. But he never says anything. Opie is without a doubt of all of our guys the most boring one.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't
all the
say
other
anything.
ones are great.
Yeah, he doesn't even know how to like, he can only be straight up mean, but it's never even in like a really cutting way or anything because he's just like, he's so uncreative and like, you know, he doesn't even have what those other guys have, which is like a little bit of like negative charisma, you know?
I think what's
Tom and Bunny, I'll say that about Tom and Bunny though.
Yeah.
I like them because they're sort of lovable goofs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, I mean, we goof on them, but it is really just, like, Tom is like, just like.
These are swingers, by the way, for everyone who's
Yeah.
listening. These are swingers who do tours of sex clubs, and they're like, they work for a place called Tom's Trips, but it's not the Tom from Tom's Trips. This is from Tom and Bunny. It's a different Tom who's deceased, who's also different from the Tom that owns the sex club in Dallas, who's Dallas Sex Club Tom. But anyways, they're sex people, basically. And yeah, they do these videos. We become fascinated with them because this guy will not give up on having sex. His penis keeps breaking from too much sex, and he just keeps doing everything that you can do scientifically. And he's like now at the point where he's physically pumping his dick up with some sort of apparatus that they've put into his body.
Yeah.
And the episodes are called like Tom's Urologist Part 2, like bringing the urologist back. And
he's a cool urologist, though, Kevin, is what you have to understand. He's like because there's a lot of them in the lifestyle, they need that kind of stuff. So
I loved it when he said, I loved it when his urologist came on and said, I hope to give everybody a working hard on or something like that. Like he was saying it. Like
every man needs to have an erection. I think it was something like that. Every man in the world.
Yeah. And Tom doesn't need an erection. We don't even know if Tom has sex, by the way. Like we've had one time confirmed where he was supposed to.
But we don't even know that he did it. We just know that he was trying to because he was trying to inject himself. He's gone through a long process. It was first the pills, then the extra strength pills, then the injections, which for me, we've talked about it. It's over before the injections for me.
Yeah.
You know, before you're injecting something directly into your penis, that's when I'm just saying, like, that's it for me. I'm hanging it up. I'm not having sex anymore. But he's like kept going. He got the injections. They stopped working. So this was during the injection period of his life, you know, and he hit a vein or whatever, and it was a big
started squirting out. Like the blood started squirting out, and he fainted in the bathroom trying to get Bunny to help him out. But then the only other time we know of is that he got an injection and then he fucked his way through 20 condoms over 4 hours.
That's true. That wasn't with Bunny, though. That wasn't with Bunny.
With this other couple.
That was with this other lady, yeah.
He was talking. He said 20 condoms, and I was like, he brought that many. But like, even just the idea that he brought that many
of course.
him.
He knows at that point, like, if you're going to, like, fucking whatever, you're going to, like, play golf and you hit a lot of balls in the water, you're gonna bring a bunch of sleeves. You're not gonna show up with a couple, it's just smart.
But we're fully convinced that he watches now. Like that's kind of his we think he's always done a lot, because like he'll say things in the club tours that are like, oh, I like to stand up on the balcony and watch the people dance and find me a victim. And it's like, don't say that in your lifestyle.
Yeah, he says that a lot, and he says he uses the word, do you know those kind of people who are kind of old and they use the word molest and it's like true sense, you know what I mean? Like it's because it has like a meaning that's not, but it's like we can't use it in that way. It's only the way that we know it now. You just got to get a different word, but he still uses it that way. So he's off-putting. A lot of people hate Tom and they love Bunny. Everyone loves Bunny. Bunny's like, she's just really, really, very likable, truly, like a really nice and likable person. Tom, for the most part, is, but occasionally he will veer into being unlikable. He's
and then I'm sorry, Chris. Everybody hates Michael Nolan. There's not a person that listens to the show that likes him.
He's a classic rock guy for everyone who's obsessed with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On our stream last night, we watched an incredible video. Has gripes with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he will not let it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all he talks about.
Michael Nolan rocks. I'm going to ask a question and then grab a charger because my trackpad mouse died, so I can't move my cursor. But I am curious about with the like prep that goes into the guys podcast. Is it Bryan? Is it all you? Is your daughter helping still with it? Like, what kind of research are you doing with which guys you want to talk about in that process for you?
See, thanks for asking that, because people always trying to influence that. What happens is we do a bunch of episodes, and then me and Chris take a few weeks off, and then I write a list of types of guys without looking into anything, without like researching anything. I just write like 10 guys that people have suggested in the past, that I have written down, that I came up with, that maybe my wife suggested lottery guys recently. And I was like, that's a really good fucking idea. And we did that episode. And then I send the list to Chris, and then we figure out the guests usually. And then most of the time I'll get a hold of them. Chris gets a hold of the ones that I'm afraid of.
Yeah, sometimes Bryan's afraid to send, or some of the people I know. So sometimes, like, if I know someone, I'm like, oh, this person would be good for the thing, and I happen to know them and can send a message to. But yeah, it's a little bit easier now because people know the podcast. So it's easier to be like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? If they're like, yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard other people on it. And we could be like, oh, this person and this person and this person have been on it. So you like them, right? They wouldn't go on a shitty podcast or whatever.
But
my intro to it was the Hollywood Handbook Discord. Every single week for most of 2024, people were like, "Oh my god, this episode was great." And then 7 days later, did you guys listen to guys this week? It's really good. Here's the guest. I can't believe they talked about this. This insane thing happened to Bryan. You have to hear this Bryan story. And so I was kind of passively just seeing like, man, our fans really like this show. And then I heard Bryan on your Kickstarter sucks and was like, this dude's wild. I have to check out the podcast.
I live like a 99% normal life. It's like 1% of things about me are somewhat a little bit quirky.
Well,
and people are like, this guy's fucking crazy. He's a madman.
Yeah, well, and people have brought up the fact that you are in Ohio or whatever, in like the area that you grew up. Is they're saying like that is very normal for the area where you grew up. Like,
but I know that where I grew up wasn't normal. You know what I mean? Like I have learned now through talking to people that were from different places that Groveport wasn't necessarily like a normal place. The thing that always comes up is like the insane emphasis in Groveport on drugs was like not everywhere. Because for me, it was just like
it had a drug problem. The city had a drug problem.
The whole place had.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and everybody was doing them.
Yeah, you hear about those places, where there's like an epidemic, where there's like a real problem where it like finds its way into like. So it was like a situation like that where it was noticeable that like a lot of the population was taking drugs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we were doing cocaine in like the 10th grade, and that is really rare throughout the country. There's not a lot of places where
it's an interesting way to put it. I don't know that I've thought of it that way, that it's like that's very rare thing around the country. Like, do you know that?
Yes. Because I'll talk to other people and they'll be like, we didn't like there was like 8 guys that smoked weed in my graduating class, and they were losers and everybody kind of goofed on them. And with me, it was like everybody I was around was doing it. And then like you would be like, oh, well, then Bryan was just hanging out with the scumbags, but I wasn't. I knew everybody. Like, I was friends with everybody in the school.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows Queeber. Oh, yeah, you know Queeber? Of course, if there was a guy named Queeber in your school, though, legit, like, you'd know him. You wouldn't, like him necessarily or whatever, but you would certainly know if there was a guy
You would respect him.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if
they respected me.
If there was a guy that you went to school with, you heard someone just mention Queeber, you could be like, what? Like, I got to find out more about that, whatever that is, you know?
Right. Well, they all knew it, and that's what they called me. So, like,
we actually, by the way, just to say, and I want to apologize for this, Bryan. Do you know what I did?
No.
So last night on stream, we found out Bryan's was in the notable alumni on his Groveport High School, and
congrats.
I was like, hey, well, hang on. I was like, hey, can you change the name to Queeber? Like, change it to let them know that was his nickname, and then someone did it immediately. Like, a Wikipedia editor was watching the stream, and they just did it like live in real time. But then they fucking took you out of the notable alumni.
Oh,
Bryan.
no.
Well, you know what, though? I'm back on it. I'll say that. I just looked, but
okay, thank goodness. No Queeber?
No, it still says Queeber.
Yes. Yes. See, I was trying to say that's what it should say, so that the people he went to school with, because they only knew him as Queeber. Like, literally, they would not know who Bryan Quinby is. So saying Queeber is actually helpful for the people who go to the wiki of their old high school.
They're like, who's Bryan Quinby?
Exactly. They'd be like, I have no idea who that is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, Queeber.
People keep at it. I'm looking at the notes now, and like, there's 2 or 3 times where people have tried to remove me from the notable alumni.
So people are trying to actively. That's wild that they're trying to remove you. I told them to go in and write stuff about you and make a Wikipedia article about you and stuff, not to remove you. Yeah.
No, this was a guy that hated me. His name was Jarrell, and we called him Smelly Jarelli, and in high school. And he saw me on it, and he hated me so much. He just was like, I'm gonna get him taken off Wikipedia.
I gotta get Queeber off of this list.
Yeah.
Kevin, I gotta let you ask questions too. I know that it is a podcast,
but I do. So I do.
Bryan, I just said I'm gonna let him ask a question.
But I'm answering his question.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Once it gets announced, and once we know the episode and the guest, I go on Reddit and search the subreddits. I generally will Google like the word and see if a forum comes up. If a forum comes up, that's like the best case scenario. If you can find a forum, like when I did porno, guys, I knew I was going to be able to pull stuff from like comments on Pornhub, because I'd already done that on the Sex Guys episode.
I'm sure when you did Porno Guys, you knew you were going to be able to pull stuff.
Well, I didn't pull my pud to it, okay? So, but you could search those. I knew I could go to Reddit and search porno things, but I found Adult DVD Talk, and it's an extremely active and kind of creepy porno forum that was just like, you were right. Like, if you find the forum, you're right in the world of those people, because they don't think that. I think on Reddit, there's always still like they could click my name.
Yeah.
And it takes you to my Reddit account, and it takes you to me like talking in my hometown subreddit. You know what I mean? But like on a forum, nobody knows who anybody is. So you're directly in their world. And that's where you find like valuable links. Yeah. You can, it's always look for what they argue about, look for what they all agree on, and then look for the guy that they all hate.
Yeah. Because and if they have any lingo like chompers and their own language, I think is very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The jam band language with like the chompers, and then finding out about the tarper, like like if you go to any jam band group on Facebook, I go on Facebook. I have Facebook now. I have a Facebook account that I can go and look at these groups, and I'm in this group called Fish Call Out, and I don't know who it was that turned me on to Fish Call Out group, but it's a group where they can call each other out for anything.
And it's mostly for chomping and tarping.
It's for tarping and chomp, but it's also no, dude. It's for.
Can you remind me what tarping is? Is that just like putting a blanket down and that's kind of holding your spot?
Yes, but they put down like giant tarps to cover like an entire general admission area. So they're like, this is my whole area for all of my group or whatever.
For my
and it's
dancing.
Like, for my dancing and like my people to hang out. Bryan, by the way, we've talked about this many times.
No.
He's engaged in it. He went to a concert with his family and literally tarped. Just fucking ridiculous.
We used all the space.
But people who we did one live show ever in Vancouver because I can't come to America and do shows yet. But people did. Someone brought a tarp and tarped.
Wow.
In the front row.
In the front row.
Because that's the complaint about tarpers is they do it like in the front row. And they might not even have other people coming to be with them. They might
just want space.
They'll just say, I want to dance. And I can't dance if everybody's up against me. And it's like, well, fuck you. You know what I mean? You're taking up like valuable space. And like, I thought it was very, I think tarpers and chompers are so funny. But that call out group, apparently at Madison Square Garden over New Year's weekend, somebody danced in row 212 and caused a huge problem with the whole thing.
What the hell?
And like the security guards had to come 7 or 8 times and everybody was yelling at them. Yeah.
Yeah, if you come the 5th time, just I'd probably take them out at that point.
Well, no, they needed more and more to handle this problem of these people that were dancing in the aisleway.
Were they wooks? Were they wooks?
They could have been wooks.
They might have been wooks.
I think they were just dancing in the aisleway, and you're not allowed to do that. So this person goes on there and was like, "Hey, fuck you, people in row 221 that wouldn't stop dancing," and then it would get distracting to everybody. So then, like the next day, somebody posted a picture of the people in row 221, and they were fucking figuring out who they were and looking for their social media so that they could yell at them for dancing.
Give it to that Tizzy ENT or whatever to do one of his little TikTok videos calling them out. Fucking let's find their place of employment. Let's find their fucking next of kin. I want these people dead in the ground.
That's what they were doing. They were like, oh, I know this guy. I saw him at, a different festival earlier in the year.
That's dope. True crime shit. Like when you start getting on that, because people do love that true crime, and people love to be investigators. They're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna investigate a murder, and just like I guess like maybe 2 people in the history of the world have actually like helped catch someone doing that. And that was all these fucking people needed. Now that you should see how many channels
2 was enough.
Oh, it's crazy.
So when you have guests on, are you pitching them like, here's 3 or 4 episodes that we're thinking about doing, or is it more catered toward the guest?
No. Oh, sometimes we think about it that way, but it's really just like, hey, who would be good for this? And then we ask them if they want to do it. Occasionally we'll have people say, I think that I would be good for, usually like our friend, like somebody who's been on before or whatever would say like, hey, I would love to do this episode because I think it would be really good or whatever. But mostly Bryan and I just discuss who would be good. I think sometimes we have on people who are similar to the guys.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe Bryan is more of a fan of than I am.
No, I like one of my favorite episodes is the Arrowhead episode.
Yeah, with Jesse doing the drug guys, because Jesse has nothing to do with it. But it's usually okay but it can get a little bit like, I guess, uncomfortable if we like are talking to somebody who I guess like sort of identifies as one of the type of people that we're maybe poking fun at. It could be like, like it could sort of come across as like that we're making fun of them. And maybe we are in some respects because maybe they share like a similar opinion. So that can be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's fun too to do that every now and then. Bryan will just toss those at us every now and then. And I don't think we do that too often. It's normally just like, hey, this person's funny. They'd probably be good on this,
I don't want to get into the space where people can just DM me and say, I want to do this episode.
Yeah.
So I don't let anybody pick. I like I said, though, like when Chris got Joe Pera to come on, I wasn't going to have him do porno guys. Although the episode ended up getting fucking nasty anyway.
It got nasty as hell, but it was bird guys. We did bird guys because we tried to like, have something that was like a little bit where we're not going to be so nasty because of his sort of demeanor and like, his sort of
style,
like, disposition and style. Yeah, exactly.
But 90% of the time you just get picked because you're a guest that we wanted on the show.
That's cool.
And like they just because like I think it's more fun because I don't know what I don't know what the show's gonna be.
Yeah.
Until usually the day before the show. So I don't know what stuff I'm gonna be reading on the episode. So it wouldn't even work if I tried to find somebody that matched up with the stuff.
Yeah, we'll have like a list. So yeah, Bryan will have, like he said, he'll have the list. Like, this is the next run we're gonna do. Do you have anybody that you think would be good for this episode or whatever? I was thinking this person for this episode. And then, yeah, we just kind of like fill it out that way.
Friend Two Crabs. It was not okay. The Joe Pera episode technically is not the titty sucking episode. It's the episode where Chris brought it up for no reason.
I just brought it up because I thought that was like, listen, I bring stuff up a lot, you know, that like I like to rehash things a lot. To me, it's really funny to see Bryan's reaction when I like say it to someone. So that time it didn't
You're
even
very
like
good at it.
Thank you. I didn't come up organically at all, but it was like coming near the end of the episode, and I was like, I just want to tell Joe Pera about Bryan sucking on titties, you know? And so I just found like I just hammered it in there to make sure that he knew, you know?
I think that's one of the worst. Queeber is fine. I lived with it for fucking 25 years or what. I lived with it for a long time. From like the age of like 14 to the age of like almost 30. I lived with
I feel
Queeber.
bad for that though. I can say I really do. I genuinely feel bad because I don't think
I said
Bryan...
it.
I know you do, but I think that I like really like turned it into like a big deal, which of course I had to a little bit, but I really kind of feel like Bryan, in a real, somewhat serious way, does not really want to be called Queeber anymore and wants to like move on with his life too, you know? So I really do sort of, I think about that sometimes. I'm like, but there's nothing I can do now, Kevin. I can't say to them, like, if I went to these people and said, hey guys, I tried to, I think I said it at the live show, I said, we're not going to do Queeber anymore, but they just did it more when I said that. I can't explain it.
The titty sucking thing is the one that I kind of wish I didn't say, but it had already been out there in the past. I had said it on Street Fight. I had done something where I mentioned it.
Yeah.
So it was out there, but it wasn't. Now it's like, it's one of the 6 things people know about me is that I sucked on my girlfriend's titties for 3 hours.
I became obsessed with it. That's why I think it sort of hinges on the stuff that I become obsessed with and refuse to let go. And so those are, and that to me, I can't get over it because the image of him like a big baby just sitting there suckling at the teeth.
It was sexy though. It wasn't like a big baby. I was acting sexy while I did it, not babyish.
Yeah. But before we jump into the podcast simulator game, I was talking to my name drop, Nick Weiger, friend of both of our shows, we were talking at the Headgum holiday party about how amazing your podcast is. And he was describing it to one of my friends and said, you know, they talk about these different types of guys and it's really funny, but what really makes the show stand out is their dynamic. And Bryan's insane stories and Chris's ability to like refuse to let them go and to like highlight different, you know, put a big spotlight on like the extremely weird things about it. So I think that's like,
I appreciate
really
that.
Yeah, of course.
That's really nice. And I'm leaving all that. I joke a lot about people. I'm not going to make those jokes anymore because there are some people online are like, oh, they don't like that I do that. And that's always going to be the case. There's like a big audience of people who some of them aren't going to like it, but I appreciate it and I'm not, you know, I think that I find the stories genuinely fascinating and funny to me. Yeah. So it's not like, you know, it's not like there's no put on to it. I think if I start realizing that it's a put on, then I'll rein myself in if that is the case, because I just like, I never think he's going to say something that's like, but I mean, on the 100th episode, how he mentioned that, you know, when he met his wife and really fell in love with her, she crashed her car into the tree outside of his house. And then he was hooking up with her that night. Like, yeah, that type of stuff, it really gets me. It really like makes me really laugh a lot. I find that to be,
I think there's a lot of people that didn't have close proximity to like rednecks or like white trash, and I'm one of those. I'm like, because most of those people end up like dying or roofing for the rest of their lives. I don't think people hear them talk on a podcast at all. There's not a lot of people that had the same, you know, guy that was a roofer and a cable guy that got addicted to pills and was fucking doing drugs in high school and got into some scrapes, but not. That's the other thing, the violence gang thing, and which we sold a shirt now. I can't complain about it, but that was so overblown.
You named the corporation Violence Gang LLC.
Right. So now I feel like I can't.
Which, by the way,
like
it was really actually really not a good idea. I feel like you're going to get in trouble. Like they're going to shut it down or something. But
people love it.
Hey, wait. There's something happened on the screen.
We're ready. Let's do this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to. Brian is cropped out of.
That's okay.
Brian, get over to the right side of your screen.
Got to get you in there. There you are. All right, we're good.
Okay.
I'm going to go like this. And so, so if you're not familiar, this is a little game that I make custom for each guest on here. It's called Podcast Simulator. So I did something different for you guys. Typically how I've done this is I've made a made-up show for each guest. However, something that I thought would be really fascinating with your show specifically is if it became a TV show, because it is a thing I think that was really popular in 2016, 17, 18. And it happens in waves too. There's like another show that just Scam Goddess with Lacey Mosley just got is now a show on Freeform. So there are dozens of examples of podcasts that become TV shows.
Well, the beer show.
Yes, the beer show. I think is this
something?
Opie. Yeah. Sorry.
And the reason Kevin didn't catch it because it was actually called The Beer Show.
The Beer Show.
Oh, yes, of course.
He knows it as its real name. He's like, what's The Beer Show?
Also, the Bubba the Love Sponge documentary series too. He's still working on it though.
I thought it would be interesting to try to create a as realistic as I could a TV show version of Guys. And so, Bryan and Chris, you are in the host mode, and you're going to be hosting a show called Guys, a TV show about guys. And so here's a little bit of context about it. I'll try to zoom in and read this for you. The short-lived streaming service CISO is back and putting a lot of money into the podcast TV series pipeline. In this 6-episode season, Bryan and Chris take a closer look at some of the most memorable guys from their podcast, attending BrickCon, which is a global event for Lego fans.
Brian would never go there.
Oh, I would love that.
Exploring Renaissance Fair and going to Hedonism 2, a resort for swingers. Bryan and Chris showcase the worst and weirdest of guys, and most importantly, what they are complaining about.
Kevin, can I clarify one thing?
Please.
There's a lot of swinging going on at the Renaissance Fair, too.
Great.
Yeah, the Renaissance Fair, you might not even need to take a flight to Jamaica if you want to do the hedonism. And I will say Brian has softened on the hedonism as well, which is not a good sign. You want to do the opposite of hedonism.
No, I said I'd go on a prude side. I didn't say I would go on a nude side. And I said it was a day trip.
You used to say you would never go before. Now you're softening and you say that you might go.
I would stay in a hotel, 5-star hotel.
So do you see this
in Negril?
Is this television? Negril is the town that it's in. Would you see this as sort of like a travel show type thing where we're kind of, or like how do you see it? Where are we sitting at a desk? I
see it like an Anthony Bourdain travel show.
Anthony Bourdain. Ooh, that's not. Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure everybody knows I've been promising not to do certain things.
I'm not sure that's the name that you want to pull.
Maybe Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Oh, I love him.
And so this is like a travel show where you guys are going to the locations of some of the episodes, and you're going to different like cons and fairs to meet some of these people IRL. So if you were presented an opportunity like this, is this something you would consider doing, or would you just be like, no, this is
in real life
crazy? Yes, yeah.
And it would be like with a network.
So I think it would be a streaming service.
I would say no. I would not have any interest in doing it. Absolutely not. If I was going to be working with any kind of an executive person who was going to like talk to me about stuff or whatever, I would not want to do it. And I'm not joking at all. I would never want to do it. So I'm sorry, Brian, if that ever gets offered, you're going to be flying solo on that.
I would do it depending on, I don't think the problem with the concept is that like it would Chris would be a necessary component, not just because he's important to the thing, but also because like he's more willing to talk to people than I am. Like I have a real weird sort of nervousness about bringing people into this world that don't know what it is. So some guy at a Renaissance festival, me pulling him aside and goofing on him, it would make me feel bad.
So it makes sense. You prefer to do it. You're a keyboard warrior.
You're
a classic keyboard warrior who will do it in the comfort of your own home when they don't know about it. But as soon as you actually have to confront the reality of it, then you become scared.
But if there is a version, which I don't think it works. I think it works better as a podcast than it would a TV show, because the only version I'd be willing to do is one where we're kind of doing the same thing we're doing, but we would have to fit it into a thing. And I tried to make a TV show thing, and I hated it. I just don't like any part of the process at all. So
let me try a different setup for it.
I hate dealing with people who are in the business world. If they send me a thing and it's like, and they start saying things like any kind of business type stuff, I get so mad. So
what about if this was for a YouTube channel? It could be your own YouTube channel. It's like a production company that wants to film it for your YouTube channel. Would you do it like that?
Yeah, if they were just doing it and they said, here's, you just show up.
Yes.
And you just do this. And the guys were like, they couldn't have a suit on. If I see one fucking guy there with a suit on, it's over.
I want to, if I don't see a guy with a blazer and a t-shirt on, I'm leaving.
Of course. 100%. Not a suit, but we want jeans, t-shirt,
some
blazer.
Formal wear. Yeah.
Well, he's got to show some professionalism, but we don't want him to be this real kind of,
tuxedo.
Don Draper. Yeah, he can't be wearing.
Guy shows up in a fucking tuxedo.
We're not dealing with this fucking tuxedo wearing executive who's just come from some ball or something. That's
me and Grace
ridiculous.
show up to the meeting in tuxedos.
Yeah, that's
maybe that's the setup then. Maybe this is like a production company that's making it for your YouTube channel, but it's going to look high end.
We would do
that's cool.
a version of something in video if somebody was doing the hard stuff for us, and we just got to come in and be like, look at these fucking weird freaks, because that's basically what we do now.
That's what was my goal. So let's say it's that.
They have to send us a photo of what they're wearing when they do the work as well.
Shorts. Okay. They can wear shorts. I just want to
better have a blazer on still.
Yes. Yeah. Here's the first episode, the first scenario for you guys. You attend Zest Fest in Texas. It's one of the largest culinary events in the country, dedicated to showcasing the best and spiciest food products on the market. Sorry, there should be a title on here that says Spicy Food Guys.
Hot sauce guys is what I am.
Yes, hot sauce guys. Sorry, my mistake.
Because it's not just, it's about the hot sauce specifically, because when you're dealing with the pepper situation, if you're dealing with an oil or a sauce, you're going to be dealing with the Scoville measurement system, which is a very official scientific measurement system, and you don't get that with other spicy foods. So
that's right.
I would, if I showed up at this event, I think I would probably gather everyone around. I would go stand up in the middle part of it. Like there's like a bell in the middle or whatever. I'm imagining this is happening in an entirely different era, by the way. Like it's a Renaissance fair to me, but it's... Anyways, so I stand up in the middle and I say, I have the strongest, highest Scovilles in the land, and get people like a guy selling their whatever, their... What are those things called?
Hot sauces? Extracts?
No, but back in the day, they used to sell their, like, it would be a bottle of something. You know what I mean?
Snake oil.
Yes. So I would probably, and I would tinctures.
Yeah, I love tinctures.
Elixirs. Thank you. Not Kramer's boat. Elixirs. And I would get everybody gathered around probably. And then when they got closer to me and they realized, oh, this guy doesn't have any hot sauce at all, I would say, look at my fucking friend. And I would just point at Bryan and I would just have them look at him and talk to him or whatever.
I want to say if I
Go
went
ahead.
to a hot sauce convention, I think if I was making a show, the thing I would do rather than go to the convention is go to the place where they figure out the Scovilles.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to know how they figure out the Scovilles as well.
I want to know some people who feel like their Scoville rating was fucked up and wrong. But those are the people I want to know, the guys that are going to do a terrorist attack on the Scoville place, because they said theirs was 9 million, but it was really 12 million.
Like, I'd love to see a fucking like Billy Mitchell style fucking King of Kong documentary with Scovilles, you know, where there's like very angry, like, you're telling me this is 7 million Scovilles and mine is 5? Give me a break. Taste these and tell me that, you know, and it's like very like serious music and shit like that. That'd be cool.
So you're at Zest Fest, and there's a snag at the Fiery Food Challenge. To find the Fiery Food Challenge is basically to find the best in Zest. Culinary judges sample every product through a series of blind tastings. Bryan is asked to give out the award for best hot sauce in the category.
That's known as an honest mistake.
Honest mistake. Best hot sauce in the category Ghost Pepper Sauce - Consumer Ready. Unfortunately, Bryan flubs, speaking of flubs, under the pressure. Instead of saying the winner, pepper spray, Bryan says Here to Slay, which is a real hot sauce from the band Korn. As the members of Korn approach the stage to accept their award, Bryan realizes his mistake. Bryan, in this scenario, do you correct your flub?
By the way, I have 4 bottles of Korn Here to Slay hot sauce, just to let you know that.
Do you actually?
I go downstairs and get them for you right now.
You don't have to, but that's really funny.
And I also have a Korn coffee mug, and I've had the Korn coffee. I have 3 pairs of Korn shoes.
I would. Well, first off, is the monkey allowed to have hot sauce?
I think I would want to honestly just give the award to Korn. Here's what I would say to the pepper spray people. I'd be like, this stuff's for keeping squirrels off the cables. This isn't hot sauce. Korn Here to Slay hot sauce actually has flavor in it too. So I'm giving it to Korn.
You talk to the organizers and like change around the.
No, I do it from the stage on the fly.
Yeah, that's actually a much better way to do it, because they can't stop you.
Korn's just gonna get it. If I say Korn gets it. I know.
Oh yeah, try to get that award back from the monkey. He's gonna fucking destroy you. He's gonna jump on your back and fuck you up.
Okay, so you're going with no, Bryan. You're not gonna correct the flub. Okay.
Not correcting it.
You realize your mistake. We're about to meet the legendary band Korn. In this La La Land Moonlight scenario, you decide to not say anything and meet these rock legends. They accept the award and thank you. However, people offstage realize your mistake and call it out. The festival then thinks this is some sort of Opie meets Man-Cow style prank show, and they kick you out. So unfortunately, your show is canceled. So we have to go.
So back. you already fucking boofed it. You should have acknowledged the flub.
No.
Yes.
Which I've been talking about a lot lately, because on the 100th episode, I flubbed, of course, and when you're the host, you can flub. That's the only time you can flub. And I did. I flubbed. I called Mankind the wrestler. I called him Man-Cow, which I can't really blame me. I'm obsessed with Man-Cow. He's in my brain all the time. But I acknowledged it. I went on the Instagram. I went into my garbage room, and I acknowledged that I was feeling so low like garbage because of the mistake I had made, and that I would appreciate if other hosts would also acknowledge their mistakes every now and then.
That's nice.
So this really hits close to home. And Bryan has no idea, because he just does not look at the Instagram. I just post whatever I want on there.
I actually do look at the Instagram. My daughter is like, Chris is making fun of you again. And then I take a look at it. And I send Chris stuff for the Instagram, to be fair. Like my pineapple kaiju behind me.
That's cool.
Which, by the way, this is just the day after. I don't need people telling me that the claw machine's a ripoff. I know it is. I just like doing it. I would be fine with getting kicked out of the festival if I got to meet Korn. Like, if Korn's not mad at me, then who cares? You know, that's what I care about.
If you,
I want to get them on the show. I want to get not Monkey. He doesn't seem like the one you would get. I would love to get.
If we're gonna have somebody on the show, it's gonna be the Monkey, 100%. He's the only one who anybody even knows that listens to our show, and they don't even know the other guys. They would be not even that excited about Jonathan fucking whatever his name is.
Oh no!
If you had picked yes, even though you're about to meet your heroes, you feel guilty about the flub as Korn walks on stage to thank you and accept their award. You correct your mistake. The band is confused and mad at you. Fortunately, viewers are really enjoy you doing the right thing in this moment. It humanizes you, and you win the goodwill of the public. You get an A as a host, and the quote-unquote network gives you an A. We're going to go to the next scenario, which is called Brick by Brick.
Yes.
This will probably have to do with Lego.
We'll see. For episode 3, Bryan and Chris attend BrickCon, one of the world's biggest events for Lego. As Chris walks around trying to find some good content to film, he receives a text from Bryan that says, "Emergency, come to tent 5 ASAP." Chris rushes over to the tent and sees Bryan holding a huge Lego box called Titanic 2. But Bryan looks frustrated and explains he spent all of his per diem on this Lego set. However, he wishes he bought another one instead. You look at the table, I'm flubbing a lot. You look at the table and see a Lego box called Titanic 3. Bryan asks to borrow Chris's per diem to buy Titanic 3. Chris, in this scenario, do you film this and exploit your friend's misfortune?
Yeah, I film it and exploit it. Sorry.
I don't have to think about it.
We don't have to think about it.
That's 100%.
You passed. This moment becomes the highlight of the show. You get an A as a host and an A from the quote-unquote network. So
Titanic 3, though. I wouldn't build another Titanic, as many people know.
He hated the Titanic build. He was obsessed with it, but it was too monotonous. You know what's really funny? That's like the only Lego thing that I know. So I go to different towns sometimes, maybe,
Yeah.
Not to brag, but sometimes I'll go to different towns and I'll go to a game shop or whatever. And anytime they have Lego stuff, that's how I always get in with them. I say like, fuck, I got the Titanic, but it's like a fucking nice finished product, but too repetitive on the build. Not my favorite build. And they're like, hey, absolutely. Like, they know. They think I'm a Lego guy.
You're legit.
Also, you could say that about the soccer stadiums too, which I almost bought Chris a soccer stadium for Christmas.
Ooh.
But
like a Lego one?
Yeah. Manchester United one.
My 3. Oh, Old Trafford?
That would be that's an 18+ set for sure.
Bryan, can you?
I will. I'll buy it for you right now.
That's huge.
So excited. I would. You're saying that my nephew couldn't build it?
No, it's 18 and up, Chris.
Oh, this is
for adults.
They say that on there, but he's a pretty smart kid, man.
He can't know. I think a 17-year-old would have a hard time with it.
17-year-old trying to build a Lego set and just not being able to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the final
one more
scenario.
year of experience.
This is our final scenario on the simulator. I'm glad that that was
you crushed it. For the season finale, you both attend the all-inclusive adults-only resort Hedonism 2. This has become a recurring segment on the show since episode 1. However, the unthinkable happens because neither of you brought your wives. Everyone at Hedo thinks you're both single guys. The worst crime you could commit at a swingers resort. As you are being shunned from all activities, you realize this is not going to be a strong episode. It's a little frustrating because you were hoping to save the best for last. The slam dunk is turning into an air ball.
Oh, that's a basketball. I like
basketball stuff. Yes.
Do you watch basketball, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do too.
I mean, I'm more into hockey now, and I don't have time. So it's like footy is my number one, and then I've gotten more into hockey now. Which, by the way,
me too.
Canucks are playing the Canadians right now as we speak.
I'm into hockey now too.
I watch a bit of hoops. I watch a bit of hoops
to a hockey game.
Wait, we gotta let him last.
Do you release the episode knowing it wasn't what you were hoping for, or do you try a different finale about something else entirely?
First of all, we would bring our wives with us if we went to Hedonism too.
Definitely bring our wives with us.
I can't have these people looking at me and thinking that's a single. Maybe I could hire somebody to go with me and not my wife.
If my wife can't come because we have a young child, I will be on a FaceTime call with her over an iPad that I will be carrying around with me, and she will be loudly announcing that she is my wife. I will not show up there, and because. Can I be honest? It's a safety issue. It's dangerous. They'll like I don't know if you've seen some of these, like maybe like old footage from like a village or whatever, where they get somebody and they cane him or whatever like that. They just, everybody sort of, I wouldn't feel safe going there as a single guy. And I don't even know if they let you go.
I mean,
like, truly,
they do.
I don't even know if you're allowed to. Do they? Are single guys allowed there? Okay.
Like I've read some reviews of single guys that weren't real happy with the experience.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
I've
We read
also
some really,
reviews
really
of couples that weren't real happy with the single guys hanging around.
It's really funny to read a review and it's like so negative, and at the end of it, he mentions that he's a single guy, and you're like, oh well, yeah, everybody hated you there, and they all wanted you dead. Like, yeah, of course it was a terrible time.
Fucking, there was a recent one where the guy was like, this place needs to do more to cater to single guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't even believe a guy was saying that.
I was like, let's find his fucking IP address.
Yeah.
Get it to Tizzy Entertainment.
I'd bring a picture of my wife and say she died recently and that her dream.
Yeah. That's our move. That's our famous move, is it? Or the phone call, like, yeah, honey, I'll be home, like as you're coming into the club or whatever. Yeah, I'll get the fucking, yeah.
I'll get some bread. Or the dead wife trick where you show up with the picture of your dead wife in a frame, a nice ornate frame, and you
the
say,
dead wife trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dead wife trick where you're technically a single guy, but they kind of let it pass sometimes, especially if you're like, make it a newer looking photo too.
And you go to the playroom.
So they know that she died recently.
And you go to the playroom and you hang the picture up.
Yeah.
In the playroom, and you fuck in front of the picture.
Yeah, you hang the photo up and then you tell the people, you say it was her dying wish. This is truly what we decided. It was her dying wish to watch me fuck again, And so you'd really be doing a great service to her. Yeah.
But I would
scenario,
not release the episode because I cannot have people thinking I'm a single guy.
Yeah, I would not release the
It would
episode.
kill the
Even if it
brand.
was like, even if it was misconstrued in some sort of way or whatever, it would be death for us. Like, it would. I know you're laughing, Kevin. We would literally be killed.
Yeah,
by Tom from Texas.
Somebody would. I don't know who would get us, but somebody would get us, and they would get us quick.
Texas
and so,
sex Tom.
We would not be able to release the episode. We'd have to do something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe
right,
an
we're
episode
going with
where
don't release it. Normally, I'm pro don't release a bad episode. However, this is such a big part of your show. I think fans would be disappointed if you did not release this.
Dang. Well,
so you're telling me we
it
have
wouldn't be the
to
first
put
time we've disappointed them.
Yeah, you tell me we have to put out the episode of us. Okay, so then what I would say is, I guess, Bryan, maybe you and I, for the sake of the episode, we have sex with each other.
Okay.
So there you go. Save
But
the
no
episode.
feelings involved with it, though. I don't want you getting all feely. I'll suck on your titties a little bit.
Bryan and I hooking up and me being like, all right, Bryan, maybe move on down a little bit there, buddy. Just sucking. All right.
That's it, guys. Congratulations. You win. This last thing says, despite not being a great episode, the fans really wanted this one to happen. It's still entertaining and secures you a season 2 of your show. You win. That's everything. Chris, Bryan, thank you so much for being here, guys. This was a blast. I was so excited to have you guys. I'm a huge fan of your show. It's extremely funny. And is there anything you guys would like to plug before I let you guys go?
Listen to
we
guys.
have a podcast, Guys Podcast. We have some good episodes coming out. Hayes is coming out on an episode.
Hayes says
soon.
Something that will stick with you for the rest of your life.
It's so funny. Bryan's been talking about it a lot. It's really such a funny line.
He defines a group of people in a way that I have never heard even suggested, and it just will change your mind about everything you knew about the Rat Pack.
Really a great episode. And yeah, this was really fun. Chef Kevin, I've been listening to you for a very long time. I'm sure a lot longer than you've been listening to me. And I'll tell you, I've always been a big fan of yours and found you to be very funny and very refreshing. I always love when you're on a podcast, so I was happy to do it. And happy that you're still doing
Thanks, man.
Sweet podcast.
Can I also say that the Hayes episode doesn't come out for a month? So everybody's like, when's the Hayes episode come out? February 4th is when.
Yeah, we might have gone a little overboard with the recording ahead.
He did mention that to me after he did it. He was like, "Did you know that didn't come out for like 4 months?"
Yeah, we might have. Well, it was because of the holidays. We really wanted to give ourselves some time during the holidays, so that was a nice thing.
I was burning out because of the way the schedule went was Shocktober straight into just recording to get on the other side of the holidays.
Yep.
So I was like really burning out. I needed some time off. I felt like the only thing I was doing was reading freak
but
Reddits.
it is scary to me. It's a really scary and kind of bad feeling because I have no idea, especially I have a baby and I forget everything. So I have no idea what happened on the episode or what I said. So people, it's like the episode comes out and I'm like getting messages from people being like, oh yeah, I bet he did, eh? And I'm like, oh no. What the hell?
Thanks guys for being here. Check out the guys podcast, check out their Patreon, and they stream Sundays on Twitch. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.